Gross margin is fixed, or the fix is underway. Now we move to the second number in the 60-15-15 system, sales and marketing. And the first question every owner asks is, am I spending too much on marketing? Wrong question. The instinct when sales and marketing is above 15% of revenue is to cut spend. Sometimes that's right, but sometimes that spend is the most profitable investment in the business, and cutting it kills your growth. The percentage alone doesn't tell you which. This is the sales and marketing diagnostic in our system. And across the $2 to $20 million service businesses we work with, the answer is almost never just spend. I'm going to show you the two numbers that tell you whether your marketing spend is working or wasting, and the 4 scenarios that determine what it's about. The 60-15-15 system says sales and marketing should be at or below 15% of revenue. So when an owner sees 22%, that reflex may be to cut or grow revenue to these new numbers. But here's what the percentage doesn't tell you. A business spending 22% of revenue on sales and marketing, where every dollar produces $5 in long-term customer value, and they recover that investment in 4 months, that business is printing money. Cutting that spend is cutting growth. A different business spending the same 22%, where customers leave after a year and it takes 18 months to recover the acquisition cost, well, that business is burning cash. Same percentage, completely different situation. The percentage tells you the size of the spend. It doesn't tell you whether the spend is working. For that, you need 2 numbers, and they both have to pass. We call them 2 gates. Think of it like a traffic light system. If both gates are green, your sales and marketing spend is a growth investment, which is very smart, and we want to keep doing that. Even if you're above 15% right now, I've seen it at 30% and been okay with it. If either gate is red, something specific is broken, and the gate that's red tells you what's the fix. Here's gate 1, and it starts with a question most owners have never actually answered. If you signed a customer today and they stayed with you for the next 10 years, what's that relationship worth in total revenue? Not this year's contract, the whole relationship. Every renewal, every expansion, every upsell over the full life of that customer. That number is their lifetime value, or LTV. Now, compare it to what you spend to get them in the door. All your sales and marketing spend divided by the number of new customers you acquire. That's your customer acquisition cost. The gate, lifetime value to customer acquisition costs, 4 to 1 or higher. Here's how to calculate it if you want to know. I'll kind of gloss over it because these take a little bit. You can use AI to help calculate it if necessary. Grab all your sales and marketing data, grab all your churn rates, put it into ChatGPT or Claude or whichever one you use, and it will help you identify those types of things. Or if you're working with someone like us, ask them for those specific things. Customer acquisition cost is all of your sales and marketing expenses. For service businesses, 4 to 1 is the floor, not 3 to 1 like SaaS or e-commerce or those types of things, because service relationships tend to last longer, 10, 15, 20 years in some industries. That justifies a higher investment per customer and works really, really good if you have a recurring revenue model. If you don't, we need to change this up a bit. Let's put it on a real business. You spend $27.5 to acquire a customer. That customer generates $150,000 over their lifetime. 5.5 to 1. Gate 1, we're good. And one thing to flag, if your customers typically grow over time, bigger contracts, more services, LTV includes that expansion, not just the starting contract value. If you only count the first year number, you'll undercount and your ratio will look worse than it actually is. I'll show you how to calculate this properly in a later video. If this ratio is below 4 to 1, your customers aren't worth enough relative to what you spend to get them. And here's what most owners get wrong. Gate 1 passing alone doesn't mean your sales and marketing is healthy, because you can have a great LTV to CAC, lifetime value to customer acquisition cost, and still go broke. That sounds wrong. If every dollar you spend comes back as a $5.50, how can you lose? Here's how. And it's the trap most owners don't see until their cash gets tight. 6 months. That's the line. Gate 2 is how long it takes to pay back that customer acquisition cost, or your payback period. How long it takes to recover what you spent acquiring each customer, and this is where profitable businesses run out of cash. Take your customer acquisition cost, what you spent to get the customer, and divide it by the monthly revenue that customer generates. Same business, customer acquisition cost is $27.5. Monthly revenue per customer is $5,000. 5.5 months. Gate 2 is green. You get your money back before the 6th month. Now, watch what happens with different numbers. Same LTV to CAC, still 5.5 to 1, but the customer pays $2,000 a month instead of $5,000. As you can see on the screen, the LTV to CAC is still strong, but the payback period just takes too long. Payback stretches to almost 14 months. Gate 1 is still green, the customer is valuable enough over their lifetime, but gate 2 is red. You're funding 14 months of acquisition costs before you break even on each customer. If you're acquiring 40 new customers a year at $27.5 each, that's over $1 million deployed before you actually start to make profit. At 14-month payback, you need more than $1 million in cash reserves just to fund your growth. Most service businesses, they don't have that. They grow until cash gets tight, then panic and cut marketing or people, which actually makes it worse. Gate 2 catches the cash trap that gate 1 misses. Traditionally, it's towards the end of this cycle that people start looking for someone to fix whatever the problem is. Those are the 2 gates. Now, what do you do with the answers? 2 gates, each one green or red. That gives you 4 combinations. And the one that matters most is the one that you're probably hoping for. Both green, LTV to CAC is 4 to 1 or higher. Payback is 6 months or less. If you can have 30 days here, that would be amazing, and we can fuel growth exceptionally fast, and it's something that you should be looking to do over time. But this is the best news in the diagnostic. Your sales and marketing is working, even if the percentage is above 15 right now. This spend is a growth investment. We don't cut it. The path to 15% isn't always slashing the budget. It's growing revenue faster than you spend. Optimize along the way, improve your close rate so that you get more customers from the same spend, shift to more efficient channels, build a referral engine that lowers your blended customer acquisition costs, get email campaigns, start building a brand or a personal brand to lower your customer acquisition costs. Because if you're running on Facebook, in a year alone, like just last year, it went up 36.6% on people spending millions of dollars a month on Facebook and Google. So if it goes up 36.6% and you're not raising your prices by that, you're going to shrink your lifetime value to customer acquisition costs. You need supporting channels that are going to bring in easier leads. Now, the 3 scenarios where something is red. I'm going to give you the diagnosis for each, not the full fix. The next videos in the series break those down. Good LTV, slow payback. The economics work long term, but cash is the constraint. The fix is about speed, getting paid faster. Poor LTV to fast payback. You recover the cost quickly, but customers aren't valuable before they churn or they just don't make you enough money. That's always a retention problem, which is a delivery problem, not a marketing problem. And if it is a pricing problem, that loops back to the gross margin diagnosis. Both red, fix your lifetime value first. You might need to slow acquisition spend to manage cash, but cutting sales and marketing isn't the fix. Making customers more valuable is. Then optimize acquisition. Your job right now, run the 2 gates and figure out which scenario you're in, because the fix for a cash flow problem is completely different from a fix for an LTV problem, and most owners guess wrong. If this diagnostic is making sense, subscribe. The next few videos break down exactly what to do in each scenario. 2 gates, LTV to CAC, 4 to 1 or higher. Payback, 6 months or less. Both must be green, and the specific combination that's red tells you where the problem lives. And that's what you need to fix. Next video, most owners with a red gate try and fix it by cutting their marketing budget or outgrowing it, and that's almost never the answer. The real problem is usually how much your customers are worth and the 3 things that quietly destroy that number. If you want us to run this diagnostic in your business, links in the description, 15 spots a month.